PlayStation Lifestyle Underground Podcast. We are an unofficial podcast of PlayStationLifestyle.net. I am Hugo Stiglitz. You can find me on PSN as Hugo Stiglitz underscore 420, and Xbox Live is THNK4URSELF. And I was actually on it the other day, and I noticed that I still only have two friends. Somebody had me on that crap Xbox Live. But we're doing a two-man show today. You want to say what's up?
Sure. I'm Jordash. You can find me across the internet and PSN as Jordash7K.
Awesome. Lately, I've been playing a lot of F1 2017 still. Um, just been doing the career mode mostly, and like last night, did a race and had the craziest near collision that I've ever had. And as long as I've been playing racing games, which I will discuss a little more about racing games later. But also I finished up my second playthrough of Hellblade and got the platinum trophy. Um, Liked it better the second time. It's a really really good game, and also getting the platinum trophy did actually kind of change the ending because there are these lore stones, which are really the only thing that you need to find to get the platinum. And if you collect all of them, there's the ending is slightly different because you learn a little something extra. But yeah, what else have I been playing? Oh yeah, I played Mafia 3 Faster Baby, which is like the one of the single player DLC things. That was very cool. I also finished my playthrough of Killzone Shadowfall, played some multiplayer, and yeah, that's about it. Oh yeah, I also finished Shadow Warrior finally after about a month or so of playing. Can't say I liked it a whole lot. The gameplay was fun. It was definitely fun to play. It was just one of the most repetitive games I've ever played in my whole life. And usually first-person shooters, I don't have that problem. Like some people say that the Call of Duty campaigns are repetitive. Not me. Like I have tons of fun playing those. And it's not the gameplay is bad in Shadow Warrior. It's just that just what happens moment to moment is just it just goes on and on with the same thing. And it's like 13 hours long, um, which is kind of long for that type of game. Also, the environments they kind of repeat a lot of things. You know, same tree and building models and textures, and it just gets repetitive. But
That's a bummer to hear. Yeah, that's a bummer to hear. I have Shadow Warrior. I bought the package 1 and 2, and I played like 10 minutes of the first one, but that's too bad to hear. I was hoping it would be a little more exciting, but oh well.
yeah, it is. It is super fun, and it's also funny a lot of the times. But that's another thing is it's hard to follow the story just because the dialogue is often not front and center, which I really think it should be if you want people to actually pay attention to your story. But yeah, that would be the type of thing like where pick it up every once in a while, just because if you try to play it all the way through, like in any reasonable amount of time, you're gonna get sick of it. Well, at least I did. Like I found it
Yeah.
really repetitive. I also felt the same way about Mafia 3 at some points, but like just because some of the setup missions between the main ones were like it was kind of the same stuff over and over. But like that's still a very wicked fun game. Love it, and that's what was another cool thing about that DLC is that it had none of that, no setup nonsense. It was just straight up balls to wall. Also, like people it got a bad rap. Like a lot of people saying it was like only an hour and a half and this and that and not worth it. Took me 3 hours and it was timed on a live stream. So it's like anyone saying that it's an hour and a half is just dead wrong. And I hope the same case for the other ones because they also said the same thing about that. So that's why I waited so long to get the season pass for that game. Although I loved it, it's because I was like, oh man, I hope I'm gonna have to wait for a discount because I keep hearing that it's not worth the full price. But no, I so far after that first one, I totally disagree. But that's it for me. What have you been playing lately? Oh yeah, Vita. I've been playing random stuff, so it doesn't matter. Like ever since my card died, yeah, I'm just not happy with Vita. So, what have you been playing?
Yeah, I have several games I've been playing this past week. Funny enough, my wife and I we like to play Star Wall that came out on PS Plus. I don't know, like a year ago. We like that just because it's so like hard to move your little whale around that
Yep.
we can actually have fun playing against each other. I played. yeah, I still play Battleborn. I play like 5 hours on Sunday. um, yeah, spend the $5, go to Five Below, get it. It's more than worth $5. I also finished up the Ghost Recon Wildlands, like
Oh, cool.
the time trial of that. Ghost Recon Wildlands. I can't wait till it goes on some kind of sale because I don't
Hmm.
pay $60 for games anymore. I loved it. It's tons of fun. Uh,
Yeah.
I probably only looked across like, I don't know, 5% of the map, maybe less in 5 hours. It's
Yeah.
huge. Like, you have the entire country of Bolivia, and it's just tons of fun. I didn't even play anything with other people online because I like to pause a lot when I'm playing games, and I'll screw over other
Oh, yeah.
people if I don't have like consistent time dedicated. But
I think it plays better with other people though. Like
oh,
the
I'm sure it does.
or at least in the beta. Like I played the beta, but the AI teammates were kind of useless, and also like
Well,
just being able to set up your shots and stuff. Like it can be fun to play with other people. It's like it's hard to find people at the same time though.
there's plenty of real life teammates you can have that are also useless, so that can always happen. Uh,
Eh, yeah, like if they go AFK, but otherwise, I don't know. The AI was probably more useless than even the worst of them. At
hmm.
least when I played it.
I have, so yeah, I wrapped that up. Loved it. Can't wait to play more. I play a little bit more Metal Gear Solid 5, which
Awesome.
let's not dive into that for 2 hours. Um, uh, my platinum this that I did this week, I spent 2 hours and looked up a guide and did Day of the Tentacle, which
Oh.
which just reminds you how far video games have come when point and click adventures were thought of as good games, and they're kind of not. Because they'll be like, oh, it'll be like, oh, we got to open this window somehow, and then those point and click adventures will be like, oh, well, you got to use the squirrel on the window because the squirrel will, I don't know, it's all that crazy crap doesn't make any sense, and they just made the game, almost all of those point and click games just nonsense like that. I played some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutants in Manhattan, which it's not a very good game, but I kind of like little dumb games like that. So I've been playing like a level or two every day of that. Um, and the big game that I've played a bunch this week is I've been playing Bloodborne, which I believe you like very much.
Yeah,
I
it's
have
great.
I have mixed feelings on it, and here's why. Uh, I don't I don't think it's too difficult. It's not. Because what they did for a lot of things is they just took out anything that would be like regularly easy. Um, like I know the regular enemies, like they can kill you in 2 or 3 hits, but I get, as long as you keep your head on straight and don't like uh, I guess just lose control of what you're doing, you're not gonna die. Like like for a game that's like supposed to be super super difficult, I should not be beating a boss on its first try. I shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm in, like I beat I played through to the next boss, like something like Blood Beast, and I killed it.
Blood-starved
I
beast.
played, yeah, and I played straight through that, and I killed the boss, and through the whole area and didn't die.
What the
Like,
fuck?
well,
That wasn't my experience at all. Those were like two of the ones that I got really stuck on.
yeah, like I would have beaten the father Gasconi on the first try, uh, but like I had him down to like maybe 10% health left, but he died because I noticed that for his first phase he gets kind of like stuck on graves, so I just cheesed him out and get him stuck behind graves, and
Yeah.
I get him through that.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah, so I almost killed 2 bosses on the first try. Um, yeah, it's, I mean, I am enjoying playing through the game, but yeah, it's not as hard as I thought it would be, which I know it sounds like I'm thinking I'm so great. I'm honestly not finding it that hard. As long as you, yeah, just are patient, you're not going to have too many problems. Yeah, no, I know it's controversial because I know it is hard. It is.
Well, I think a lot of the difficulty with Bloodborne is just the lack of checkpoints. Like if you die, you start way back. You know.
Okay, yeah, that's something I would. If they could change one thing, I'm fine with if you would like die and all the enemies would come back. But if I say killed a bunch of enemies and then like went back to the base to spend my levels at home, I don't want my enemies to spawn back again. You're just artificially adding the length of it for having me to go back again. And yeah, like
Uh, yeah,
yeah,
no,
it's
I don't mind any of that. I just feel like that's part of the game. It's like
yeah.
mostly.
I know that is what it is, but yeah, like because I have tons and tons of fun the first time I'm going through an area and killing everything and exploring and doing that. And then the second time I do it, I'm like, I'm already having a lot less fun going through almost the entire area again. But yeah,
Yeah.
it is a good game, and I'm just picking nits. But yeah, it is a fun
No,
game.
it's excellent. It's just like it's just so fucking deep and like also you need to like Google a lot of stuff if you really want to like take full advantage of what's available in that game. Like, 'cause it doesn't come out right and tell you fucking anything. Um, so it's like you pretty much have to read up if you really want to like get the best weapons and stuff like that. Like I missed some stuff early on, um, which it's not a huge deal because it's not like the other weapons are bad, but it's like there's certain like little tricks and stuff that you could learn if you like Google stuff. And I don't know, I kind of just like to play games. Like I like how it doesn't hold your hand and stuff as far as how it plays, but also sometimes I just want to play, you know.
Yeah, it's when you're playing, you're using a guide like on your first playthrough of the game. I think that always takes something away
Yeah.
because you're losing out on all your own exploration and discoveries. You're giving that all away for a chance to be like slightly more efficient.
Yeah. But all right. So this week we had two news stories to mention real quick. For one, the rumor of LA Noir coming to PS4 and Xbox One is actually true. Oh wait, actually it's saying HTC Vive, and Nintendo Switch. Surprised it's coming to Switch, but that's good for people who own Switch. But yeah, like they're adding some like VR missions and stuff. Um, they're gonna include the DLC. Also, they're already saying that it's 1080p on PS4 and then 4K on PS4 Pro, which to me means it's gonna be 30 frames per second. And I have it on PC, and I wouldn't expect it to be higher because on PC it only uses one core of the CPU, so it's like almost impossible to run it at 60 FPS. Like I can't think of a CPU that would be able to do it because like all the CPUs that are better than mine, they're better because they have multiple cores, not because they have one core that's better. So it's kind of funny that it's like the PC version is so hamstrung. I mean, they could obviously recode it for PS4 and stuff, but I would be shocked if it was anything above 30 frames per second. But who cares? The original was 30 frames per second. I mean, it's an open world, it's like third person. I don't think a game like that needs to be 60. It's more about the narrative anyway, so it's not like a huge deal. But I'm sure somebody will be in the comments crying about it. Um, PC Master Race, yeah, you know those people. They want they get mad if a game is locked to 60 and doesn't let them go up to 144, and it's just like to me that's just so ridiculous. Because I've tried it and I don't see a single difference between 120 and 60. Like I can barely tell. Maybe you can
Yeah,
tell in
you
VR,
can't
but
see, yeah. You can't see much above 60 frames per second at all.
you can't. No.
No.
But I think it's just people like who really would just want to be ultra competitive. Like I understand it for like Counter Strike Go because that game a toaster could run that game, but like in general, like you just don't need anything higher than 60.
Yeah.
And anyone saying that you do is full of themselves, because they probably spent $1,000 on a monitor that can do it, and yeah, nah. I've used one of those monitors, and it doesn't really make that much of a difference at all.
Yeah,
And then the
sticking
other,
your nose up in the yeah, sticking your nose up in the air is a big deal for a lot of people out there.
oh yeah, no, I mean
Yeah.
they people get defenses about their purchases, and that'll continue to go on forever about any product, not just gaming, about Android, and iPhone, PC, Mac, Ford, Chevy, like
Yeah,
all that stuff, you know.
getting a 4K TV, which is a little better than the 1080p.
Eh, I wouldn't say that. It's actually 4 times as many pixels. It's a lot better, but the real thing is it's like it's not that much more expensive. So at this point, it would be kind of foolish not to get a 4K TV. But the problem is like there's not a lot of stuff that actually displays 4K.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
there's gaming,
There's
and
a
then
few games. It's not even all games. It's some games.
well, if you're on PC, it's a huge list because especially last gen games. Actually, I forgot to mention that I was playing the original Black Ops on PC, and yeah, that runs 4K 60 even on my PC. So there's a lot of stuff that do, but like as far as like for what regular people that aren't gamers do, like there's not a lot of stuff that uses 4K. Like cable TV isn't 4K yet, except for maybe a couple channels. Netflix, most 99% of their content is not 4K. Same with Amazon Prime and stuff. Like it's pretty much like a very small selection of stuff that actually displays in 4K on TV. So yeah, I see what you mean, but at the same time, like I think it would be foolish not to spend the extra $100 to get this 4K 60-inch TV instead of the 1080p one. And also HDR is a huge deal too. Like some people say that makes a bigger difference than 4K does, but where I think people really understand why 4K is a big deal once it becomes the standard for video games. Like if PlayStation 5 just out of the box automatically has 4K the way that PS4 has 1080p, people start seeing the difference it actually makes. Because it really does. Like even on a 1080p, it looks so much cleaner. It's crazy really, but
Because even from 720 to 1080, you can really see that.
yeah, well, because
I think
that's
I think you
double.
can see that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's twice as many pixels. But like 4K is kind of hitting the
About the
law
maximum
of
of what the human eye
diminishing
can see.
returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah.
you have to sit at the right distance. Like, because if I mean, even if you sit too far from a 1080p TV and a 721, you're not going to be able to tell between the two. Like, or even standard definition. If you sit far enough, you're not going to be able to tell. So obviously, if you sit too far from a 4K, you're not going to be able to tell either. So, but it also is getting into like pixel density that's so tiny that yeah, we're starting to get diminishing returns. So even though like 4K is 4 times as many pixels as 1080p, it's doesn't look
Yes.
like it's
Yeah.
4 times better because it's just so hard to make out those extra details unless you actually look for them, and most people don't, frankly.
No. No.
But all right, other news story is Destiny 2 has had some controversy with microtransactions. And I hate to say I told you so, but it's an Activision game, and it's a big one. So I'm not in the least bit shocked. I'm surprised there's not bigger problems, but apparently the shaders, which will like help you change the color and texture of like weapons and your guardian suit thingy, they're I don't know what it's called. I stopped playing Destiny like a month after that piece of crap came out. But yeah, like now they're microtransactions and they're only one-time use, so people are pissed.
Yeah, I'll probably end up getting Destiny 2 once like some expansions come out because I got Destiny 1 at Taken King time, and at that time, it was a full complete game and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I'd be very disappointed that shaders are one-time use. It's like silly. It sounds. But it's fun to have your guy a certain color for when you get it. But
Mhm.
it's fun to say, oh well, I feel like you were wearing my red one or my golden one this week. But now you can't do that, and it's just and they're because I think I read that now they're in like some kind of like loot box things, which are goddamn just the worst thing ever. Fucking loot boxes. Every game has them now, and because you can't even buy like specifically what you want. You got to roll the dice and buy 100 packs to get what you want. And God, I hate that microtransaction crap. Loot boxes are the worst thing ever of all things in the universe.
Yeah, I mean, It is. Yeah, it's Activision.
Like it turns
I
every
come to
game into like a
expect it.
collectible card game, like opening an expansion pack for anything in every game now.
It's crazy. But all right. Our topic for this week is racing games, which um, practically every week I mention that I play with. Like, so you can say I'm a huge fan. I've been playing like the first racing game I played was actually on PC. It was called Mega Race. It was an arcade game that came arcade racing game with like weapons and stuff, kind of like a Wipeout type thing. And it came with like old school PCs, like pre Windows 95. We had like an old PC for like that for years, and I remember that was like that Need for Speed. Um, Jumping ahead, the reason I actually bought a Nintendo 64. Well, actually, let me go back a little bit. Sega Genesis, Road Rash, one of my favorite games. Loved it.
Yes.
Um, but jumping ahead, the main reason I bought a Nintendo 64 was to play Mario Kart 64. Loved it. My friend had a 64, and like I played it a couple times. And it's like at the time, I was like, I really wanted a go kart. I would always loved driving them. Didn't end up getting one, but Mario Kart kind of took that place, you know. So I had fun riding go karts virtually, and that game. I mean, plus it's such a brilliant game. But also the funny thing which really changed how I viewed racing games and what I wanted to play as far as racing games was Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer. That is actually what led me on to playing simulation racing games, believe it or not. Although it's pod racing, anti-gravity things, you wouldn't think that those are realistic, but the key thing is you actually had to use your brakes in that game, which is a it's a huge
Yeah.
departure from the other racing games that came out before it. Like, I mean, I'm sure there were games that we had to use our brakes. Well, actually, the original Gran Turismo, but I didn't have a PlayStation 1, so I didn't know, but, like, that was it for me. So, like, and since then, like, I mean, I've always been a car guy, like, just from watching Top Gear and stuff, too. Like, so I've always had an interest in um, cars and stuff, so Gran Turismo has always been a great series for me. It's one of my favorite series ever. And also, like, I've never really been into like motorsport, although I have like always kind of followed Formula One. Just from when I was a little kid, just seeing Michael Schumacher win every single weekend practically. When he went on that run of 5 championships in a row, and yeah, I've been an F1 fan for years now, and but that's like pretty much all I watch as far as racing. But the racing games, I've always had fun with. There's a few that are very popular that I despise. But what's your experience with racing games?
Sure. I would love to go back too and list a bunch of games. Well, of course, a lot of the older games they have to be more arcadey because you couldn't make games realistic. Um, but I remember some games on the original Nintendo that I loved that were racing. I loved Rad Racer. There was an also like an F1 type game. I'm using air quotes because it was just super hard and broken. It was like Al Unser Jr. Super Racing or something. Um,
Nice.
the first racing game that I played that required brake usage was for the Sega Genesis. It was Ayrton Senna's
Ayrton Senna,
Ayrton Senna's Super Monaco GP,
the
and
goat.
had that game. Yeah, he had a pretty good game too, and you
I
had to
heard it was
actually
good.
like break. You had to like brake for turns. I also loved Road Rash.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Road Rash, awesome.
yeah. And then after the old school stuff, I had a PlayStation, not a 64 guy. I also had Need for Speed 2, which you had to use brakes. And then like I started to really dive into like arcadey type car things where you had to drive fast, but then also maybe had to do other things. Like I really enjoyed Twisted Metals. I had Micro Machines V3 for the PlayStation 1.
Nice.
The first game I got on PlayStation 2 was Smuggler's Run. I really enjoyed that game. And then I also got my first Gran Turismo 3 on PlayStation 2. That was, I think, the third game I bought on PlayStation 2. So those are some of the old ones I like. I like anything that's really uh, well, not to say that I don't like simulation racing because I do, uh, but um, like kart type racing stuff. Every because those that's what you play with your friends because it's easy. You don't have to brake when you go, and your friends who are bad can still get lucky and win if they get like the lightning bolt or something. And I still play on the PS4. I play Beach Buggy Racing, which is probably the best kart racer on the system. It doesn't have online racing, but it's it's a fine little arcade racing experience. And the same company also makes Riptide, which is like kind of like a Jet Moto type game. And there's two of those on the PS4 too. And I recently played those and enjoyed those very much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Wave Runner scene is kind of switched to mobile. It seems like I remember like it used to be like one of the main console games on PS1, but not anymore really.
Yeah, some of those, I guess, not not wheels racing games, like they're a lot harder to get people into. Like, there's Jet Motos on the PlayStation One. There's like Wave Race at the same time. But some of those like really fast, not a car things, kind of like F Zero or Wipeout, like those games exist, and the people that like them a lot. But I don't think they're kind of as mainstream. Even though Wipeout Omega, I think, did pretty good when it came out a few months ago.
Oh, I hope so because it was really really good. They did an awesome job on it.
Good, yeah. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I enjoy those fast racing games. Yeah, I can get lost in. Yeah, if give me a good career mode in any racing game, and I'll love it.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Now I want to get onto my controversial opinion, but I don't like Burnout. A lot of people love that shit in like of the Need for Speed series. I kind of see them as one and the same practically, but yeah, Burnout is like so highly regarded, and I don't understand why. Because to me, it's not fun. Like I think, and I've heard someone put it perfectly, but it's the racing game for people who don't like racing games, and that says it all to me. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, I've never played any of the Burnouts, so I can't contend with you on this.
That's all right.
I agree. I didn't like it either. It sucked.
Nice. It does suck. Fuck Burnout. But like people keep asking, like, we need a Burnout on a PS4. No, we don't. We already have Need for Speed. It's the same thing. But yeah, no, like there's only a few arcade racing games that I enjoy. Like Trackmania Turbo is one. Wipeout Omega, like you mentioned, I like that. I know there's more that I'm forgetting. Like, but
Oh yeah, there's tons. There's tons. Any car game where you have a gun on your car, that's arcade racing.
yeah, definitely.
They even threw actual races in the last Twisted Metal,
Oh, you know what was
which
fun?
kind of felt out of
That
place.
was free on PlayStation Plus is tabletop racing. That was actually a pretty fun racing gameplay, pretty solid.
Yeah, you
Um,
told me to get back into that, and then I forgot about it until just now. So I guess I'll re-download that.
like there are some like arcade games where the racing can be fun enough to where I can overlook how boring the actual driving is. And that's one of them. I would also say Need for Speed Most Wanted on the Vita is another. Although it's basically the same game as it is on PS3 and PC and stuff. So if you've played that, I mean the one that came out in 2012, not the one in 2005 that I couldn't give a fuck about. Um, which seems to be everyone's favorite, but yeah, no, not me. That one was fun. Like I played it mostly on Vita because it's like with Vita beggars can't be choosers. But it was actually fun. Like the actual racing in it was very challenging and intense enough to where it was actually fun. I thought. Although typically, yeah, I love simulation racing games. Like especially when you have a wheel. Like they are just so deep. I mean, just driving around a track, you don't even have to be racing, and you can have a blast just because that not only is the physics and the handling, like what you're feeling through a wheel, so detailed and just incredible, like as an experience, but um, also every single car feels different. So it's like a game like Gran Turismo, Like some in the past have had like 1,200 cars and stuff. Like, and it's what's the real big deal about having all those cars though is not the number at all. It's the fact that every one feels different. Because there are other racing games, like especially more arcadey stuff, like The Crew, I will make fun of a little bit, but every car and truck feels the exact same. They just feel like faster, slower, lighter, heavier versions of the same exact car. And that's
Hmm.
my biggest problem with The Crew, because there's so much about it that reminds me of Test Drive Unlimited 1, which is another one of my favorite racing games ever, and that's really an arcade racing game. But the difference is in Test Drive Unlimited, like it actually felt like a test drive because every car felt different. So it's like if you're driving a Jaguar, you feel like you're actually driving something different than when you were driving a Ferrari or something, or a Nissan. Like it just makes having all the cars that these racing games have that much more enjoyable when you're getting a different experience each time rather than just getting a slightly faster or better handling version of the same friggin' car, which is what Need for Speed does. Burnout doesn't even have real cars. I mean, that's all you gotta know there.
Yeah, I
But
know exactly what you mean because I can feel like when cars are different or not different, even just using a controller. I've
yeah,
never decided to pull the trigger and spend $200 on a wheel,
you can
but
tell on a controller. Yeah,
yeah, you can tell if they decide to put in the work and make the cars different. Yeah, I haven't spent the money on the wheel, but I can bet
mhm.
I can bet I could love it if I did. And
Oh yeah.
before you get into the next game, I think Project Cars is on sale this week. How did you like that one?
I liked it a lot. Like it's really one. I think one of the best racing games in years. Like as a full package. There's like it does so many things really really well, and even the driving and the handling is really really good. It's just not quite up there with my favorites like Gran Turismo 6 or Gran Turismo Sport, Assetto Corsa especially. That is like the tops as far as I think, including PC racing sims, but also console. And that's one where I mean, yeah, you'll definitely feel the difference if you're using a controller, but with the wheel, it just is like mind-blowingly good. Like, just because it's one of the sims that has the most feeling through a steering wheel, because it's designed completely for a steering wheel. Like they made no compromises for that because it started out on PC, and PC has always kind of been like aimed at people with steering wheels. They never cared that about like people with controllers because like that wasn't their market. Like they were marketing towards people like me that really wanted something super realistic and super fun to play with a steering wheel, and that's exactly what they have. There's a couple on PC too that are like that that just have incredible feeling through the wheel. It's I mean force feedback is the name of it. Like is what
Hmm.
you're feeling through wheel because there are either one motor or multiple motors and inside of the actual wheel that drive the wheel to provide resistance, vibration, and just general feedback. But some of it is just so incredibly detailed that like you practically feel like you're driving a real car at times, or maybe it doesn't feel exactly like a wheel because a real car, because actually that's one funny thing in the simulation world as far as like the community. A lot of people confuse difficulty with realism because some of the older racing simulators had much less force feedback than we have now, and the reality is if you were driving an actual car with just the wheel, like all you were feeling was the wheel, it would be way harder to actually drive than it would be to actually sit in the thing. Because when you're sitting in a real race car, or just any car really, you're feeling things through the seat of your pants, like, and just by being in the thing. Like, there's a lot of feel, like, especially as far as, like, what the back tires are doing. I mean, as you know, like, I mean, cars with fishtailing, it's like, it's a constant uh, battle with the edge of what the car can do as far as grip. And like so the problem with some of the older simulators is they would only give you force feedback through the wheel on what the front tires are doing because that's what it is in real life. In real life, you're not feeling the rear tires through your steering wheel. You're throwing it through the seat of your pants, and the problem with that is 90% of people who play racing simulators only have a wheel, if that. I mean, there's millions of people that don't even have that, let alone, all the other stuff that can be out there, like as far as motion simulators and stuff. So one of the things that has been improving over the years is with especially stuff like Assetto Corsa is not only including the front tires, but just the entire car. So you're feeling everything that's going on with the car, but it's also just like so much more satisfying because you're really feeling the road. Plus, they laser scan the tracks too, which is very cool. Like they're accurate to the real tracks within 1 millimeter, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, I've read about I forget what the name of it is. There's some like PC only racing game and
iRacing.
iRacing. That's the one that they do
They
that the scanning stuff, and it's like I don't know, super 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 realistic.
they started the laser scanning, but the funny thing is when I was, mentioning older racing sims that don't only provide you feedback from the front wheels, and because of that, it's way more difficult than driving a real car would actually be, and also the sim community confusing difficulty with realism. I was thinking of iRacing pretty much the entire time because it has that problem. It feels like crap through a steering wheel because they're just too stuck in the mud as far as like their what they want to deliver through a steering wheel. Although they know 99% of their people are using it, they just don't care, and like they're just kind of set in their ways, I guess, and like kind of old school. And because of that, it's not only very boring to drive in that sim, but also it doesn't feel nearly as realistic. And really it isn't because, I mean, if you can't connect with what's going on as far as the driving, like how is it realistic? I mean, a real race car driver sits down in his actual race car, and he's going to have a tougher time in iRacing than he would in real life. That's not the way it should be. That's not realistic, so that's something that happens in the sim racing. Like, but the sim racing community is kind of crazy. Like, I don't, like, I discuss things about other games and stuff. Like, I mean, that's how I met you and Brian and stuff. I don't discuss things with the sim racing community because they're very toxic, and a lot of them are like very territorial. Like we mentioned earlier with PC and like people defending their purchases. Well, they do that.
The more radical a group you get, the smaller a group you get, the more fanatic those people are going to be, and that's everywhere in the world.
That's exactly what's going on with the sim community, which is funny to me because I own all of them. Like pretty much all of them. There's a few that I haven't bought, but I've tried every simulator there is on PC pretty much, and it's like I don't understand the whole mentality of choosing one and then talking shit about all the other ones. Like it's just so weird. I'd rather, like, each one of them has different strength like any other game, really. So it's like, why limit yourself,
Yeah, it's almost like it's human nature to be like exclusionary to other things. Be like, no, this is the best. Everything else is dumb. And if you don't agree with me, then you're dumb too. And that's just how lots of things are, unfortunately.
Yep.
As far as like sim racing as a civilian who enjoys sim racing, I still get plenty of enjoyment out of Gran Turismo. I think I had Gran Turismo 3, Gran Turismo 5. To me, that's still Drive Club. I know you can probably be like, well, it's not realistic because completely realistic because A, B, C, and D. Like, well, it still feels pretty real to me.
It's kind of in between, like. People would call it Simcade.
Mm-hmm.
Arcade sim. Like Forza, that's what Forza is really. Like there have been a lot of games like that were kind of in between the two, like the Dirt series, Grid, like pretty much even the F1 series, which I play and stuff, but it's definitely not a full simulator for sure. Like, it's still fun though, like, because like, that's the thing with a lot of racing games, like, especially the ones that are kind of more sim oriented. Some of them do like a bunch of stuff so well, but then maybe leave a little more desired on some other areas. So it's like I'm just like waiting for the day that someone puts it all together and just makes the perfect racing game to me. But it's like, I mean, they might not even necessarily have to, because like you mentioned Drive Club. Now, Drive Club was not a full simulator. It's not, to me, the driving was like maybe not quite as satisfying as a simulator because it's just not as realistic or deep. But at the same time, it is such a blast to play. But also the racing is so intense. Like I feel like Drive Club is the racing game that remembered that it's a racing game, so racing should actually be good in the game. It seems like the racing genre has kind of turned into gimmicks. Like it's been more about being open world or being
Hmm.
marketing itself as the real simulator and like which like it's
Yeah, like I had played a Need for Speed, whatever came out on the PS4 a few years ago. That was like
yeah.
open world. I was just like, what the hell is this? What what is this? Put me on
Also,
a
yeah,
track.
the
I don't want to
RPG
go up a
stuff.
mountain and stuff. No, just race. Just put me in a race.
Yeah, no, they put all these RPG elements into it and stuff, and yeah, I don't get it. But I mean, like Forza Horizon 3 is definitely fun, but like that's a perfect example of like a lot of people, like a lot of the Xbox people were like, "What the hell is good about Drive Club? There's nothing good. It's just a track or this and that." Like, it's just play it, like because the thing that Drive Club nails is what every racing game should nail and hasn't been the racing. Like and so, like, I've always been a huge fan of Drive Club because of that.
See, now
Also,
as a civilian, I have no idea what you mean by that.
but what?
But when you say, well, they got the racing right, I don't know what you mean by that.
The racing is exciting to actually do. It's like you're actually battling with the AI opponents. Like
Okay.
you're having tight races.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
super intense, super competitive, and also fair and balanced. Like a lot of the other racing games screw that up. Like it's hard to have such intense racing, well, without doing rubber banding, which is something a lot of old racing games would do. Which
Hmm.
is, I don't know if you know what that is. It's like
Oh yeah.
when, yeah, when the AI drivers are in front of you, all of a sudden they get slower, but then when you're ahead of them, they're right on
They,
you like white on rice. Like all of a sudden they're way faster than they were, even if you're putting in consistent laps. That's rubber banding. And Drive Club doesn't have that. It just has really good AI. And I mean, the funny thing is like if you played Drive Club successfully, especially on like the higher difficulties, which you would have to if you played like just the main tour, because they do change the difficulty depending on the race you're doing. You're actually learning real techniques as far as like passing and overtaking and drafting and stuff. Like it, it avoids doing rubber banding by including all that stuff and expecting the player to actually race like properly instead of what a lot of people are used to, which is just like get past the AI because they're slowing down because you're behind them, and then just try to stay in front, which is what a lot of other racing games do. And so it's like Drive Club may seem like simple at first, like there's no gimmick, there's nothing like crazy about it as far as like you can point to this feature that makes this racing game totally different from the rest of the genre. Basically, what it does is just absolutely nails what racing games are all about, which is racing. Plus, the driving is actually awesome. Like, I mean, it's not a simulator, like I've mentioned before, but you know what I mean. Like, it's still wicked fun to play, kind of like a simulator, like Gran Turismo stuff. And the funny thing is, this is actually one of the few racing games, period, in any genre that are equally fun to play with a controller as with a wheel. Like maybe not equally, I still prefer the wheel, but it's close. Like there are very few racing games that are like that. Like that, a lot of them, especially the main Forza Motorsport series. Well, actually, they're kind of terrible with both, but with the controller or the steering wheel. But there's a lot of racing games which are designed totally to play with a controller. Like Grid was one of them.
hmm.
Um, Even the Dirt series kind of, but like there are a lot of, and then especially like any arcade racing games, like some of the older Need for Speeds did have wheel support, but they were just terrible to play with a wheel. Um, So yeah, like that's another thing that goes on in these games. Like there'll be certain racing games where people have a blast with, but then people like me with a wheel are not having fun because the game is just designed to be played with a controller, and it kind of ruins our fun. But one thing I have noticed over the years is racing as a genre is not nearly as popular as it used to be.
No, I agree with you. Like even though there's still tons of racing games that they put out, I don't think it's as popular as it used to be. I mean, like when Gran Turismo Sport comes out, do you think that's going to be the highest selling game for the PlayStation 4, like all the other Gran Turismos were?
No, no,
I
definitely
don't think
not.
so either. I don't think so either.
I mean, well, actually, even on PS3, I mean, GT5 I think was the highest selling exclusive on PS3, but it wasn't the highest selling game. Period. Like it got. I mean, I think like Mario, Minecraft and GTA 5 sold like 30 million each. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Grand Theft Auto 5 beat it. Yep.
Oh yeah. Actually, and a bunch of the Call of Duties did too. Like I know Modern Warfare 3 did and stuff. And,
Well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia list right now, and it's saying Gran Turismo 5 is the second.
hmm. I don't know. It should be lower than that. I'm pretty sure. Because I know. Well, I think the other thing is like some places don't track retail sales. They only track digital. I mean, I meant vice
The other
versa.
way around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I mean.
I'm telling you what the almighty Wikipedia says. And I did not edit it. I did not edit it myself.
Huh. That's interesting. I usually check VG charts because they're
Yeah,
the pinnacle of accuracy.
they are. I clicked on the first link.
Yeah, like VG charts is kind of like Wikipedia, where people kind of they kind of guess. Like they use different sources, and they're usually pretty accurate. But yeah, it's not like definite stats or anything like that with
Yeah.
VG. But they're still usually pretty much spot on the money.
Yeah, VG charts is I used to check them more regularly, but I've gotten out of the habit of them.
Yeah,
Call of Duty, man. Lots of people buy Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've bought a single one. Not like because I'm trying to be contrarian. It's just I don't get too hyped for like multiplayer based shooters like that.
yeah. I'll buy them occasionally. It's just that a lot of them have sucked, in my opinion. Um, but I don't know. It's still like it's a series that I'll eventually get on sale, just because I've always liked that. Most of them, at least for like a single player, or I like the multiplayer part of it, or I don't know. I just like first-person shooter single player campaigns, and Call of Duty usually puts out good ones. Not always, but for the most
Yeah,
part.
like that. Yeah, like that's what I like in every game. I want a good single player campaign, which is why I absolutely love Doom. That was probably my favorite game last year.
You'll love Wolfenstein then, because to me, like Doom and Wolfenstein are up there for just like being brilliant single-player campaigns. In an age where there's a lot of mediocre ones, because a lot of them are like half multiplayer, half single-player, and you know how it is. Like Battlefield, Call of Duty. Like sometimes they don't make the greatest single-player because
Yeah, just when
they run out of ideas.
Do you hear all that? Do you hear all that noise coming through in your background?
Oh shit! I didn't realize that was. I do now.
That's been coming through for like a minute, by the way.
Oh, oops. Oh well. I thought I had
Yeah.
it muted, but fucking
I heard it in the background. I was like, "Your roommate's a dick."
yeah. Definitely. What an
Yeah,
asshole.
yeah. Gran Turismo 3, way back in 2001. I know I had played. I think I did everything in the single player for that.
Yeah.
One thing that I remember annoyed me in that game was like once you got to like the later like races and tournaments, like the races would take like and each race in a 10 race set would take an hour.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, an hour? I thought you were gonna talk about the 8 hour and 6 hour ones and stuff.
I I didn't mind the endurance races that much. I don't. Yeah, I didn't hate them. Like I would start one in the morning, then do anything else with my time, then come back and like finish it in the evening or something. I was not afraid to leave the system on overnight.
One of
That helped.
my biggest issues would be like the championships that would be like 5 races. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Because like
there were
they
10
wouldn't
race
let you leave
championships.
them.
Yeah, yep.
Like
You couldn't
they
leave them.
you couldn't save
Yeah,
the game and stuff like that.
and the races would be so long, and then like the 10 race sets, your car would need the oil changed, but you couldn't leave and get it. I remember that.
Yeah, it it was irritating, and even GT5 had that type of crap going on until they added mid-session saves, which was like, because there were some 24-hour races in that, and
Yep.
it's like I'm not
Hmm.
gonna, like leave my PS3 on for weeks because it's not like I'm actually gonna sit there and drive for 24
No.
straight hours.
Absolutely not. That was
Even in real
like
racing, they
I
don't
did
do
it
that.
with like the B class stuff with the people that you just tell what to do. I did that one, all of them, but
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not doing that myself. No,
yeah.
hard pass.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, because actually, I think at first GT5 didn't have that. But it's like even in real life, they do have 24-hour races, but it's because they're like they
They
do
have
3
teams
hour
of people.
stints. Yeah, they have
Yeah,
like teams of drivers to do it. It's like nobody's actually sitting there for 24 hours. They probably die in a crash.
like one guy almost did the Le Mans all by himself, but in like the 23rd hour, like he
Yeah,
like misshifted and like blew a rod or something.
yeah. That was like back in the day, though, right?
Yeah, way back in the day.
Yeah,
Way
people were
back.
crazy back then.
Yeah.
And it's like they died all the time too. Like it used to be, there would be a
Yeah.
death in Formula One like every year. It's ridiculous. Um, and we've only had one death since the goat died in '94 in F1.
Oh,
Since
well,
then,
that's good. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it sucked that that dude died, but it was kind of a freak accident.
Because even like when he got on the course, he was like, "This turn is dangerous," and sure enough, he died on that turn.
Well, yeah, his car failed. Like the steering column broke in that
Hmm.
one wicked dangerous corner, which cut like a lot of people got into bad accidents on that corner and died. Like and even on that weekend, another guy died, and another guy got in a horrible accident too. It's like, and then he died. Like they haven't raced there for F1 since then. They also changed the track, and it's actually a really good track. But like, yeah, no, they're not going back there with F1 because that
No.
well, it's not even the track that killed the best ever. It's really the combination of the car failing and the track being that having that crazy corner that if you don't if you let go of the wheel or something happens in that corner, you're pretty much hitting the wall at 200 miles an hour.
Yep.
It's a lot safer sport nowadays. So, but um, what else for racing games?
Say, I know you lightly touched on the arcade type racing games that you liked. Like you played Road Rash back in the day. Are
Hell yeah.
there any other like non hardcore racing games that you have played in the last, I don't know, 20 years?
I don't know. Just uh, I mean, I know I mentioned Track Me. Oh, I play a little bit of Ridge Racer 7, PS3.
Hmm.
That's a cool one. And actually, Trackmania Turbo kind of reminds me of that. Well, the drifting feels very similar, but also like Trackmania is kind of like reminds me a lot of Trials Fusion actually. And I wouldn't
Hmm.
really count Trials as a racing game, but that's definitely something arcadey that I've played. Although actually, I think that it's kind of like a physics-based game, so I'm not even sure how arcadey it really is, because like the physics are pretty brutal actually, and that's kind of what makes it fun. But
How do
Yeah,
you feel
not a
about
ton.
Rocket League? Does that count as, even though it's more of a
It
sports game? Is
doesn't.
that a racing sports game?
To me it's a sports game. Like it is a driving game, you could say, but to me it's definitely not a racing game because there's no racing involved.
You're racing to the ball to score a
eh,
goal.
yeah, I mean it doesn't count though. To me that's totally a sports game, like akin to like FIFA or Madden or something, like because it
Yeah.
just totally plays out like that. It's all about the competition and stuff, and um, yeah, like Rocket League is one of my favorite games on PS4. Period, though. But yeah, I wouldn't say that's a racing game. Driving, yeah, but not
Yeah.
racing. What
Did
about
you
lately? Have
play?
you played any good racing games? Well, other than Beach Buggy and that stuff.
Yeah, 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 stupid shit. I probably haven't touched a Drive Club in 2 months. I try to do like one of the
Mhm.
sets a month on the little expansion packs, but I didn't do one last month, and I'm sure I'll pick it up again
Oh, nice.
soon. Um,
Yeah, I got all the DLCs from that. A lot of extra cars and stuff.
yep. I might. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna buy another sim racing game soon until Gran Turismo Sport comes out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that I'm probably just gonna hold out for that because also I still haven't finished Drive Club and I want to finish that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because and I want a game if I'm gonna pick up a sim racing game. I wanted to have a good, enjoyable like single player campaign.
Mhm.
Like did Project Cars. I think that's the one this week. I did that one. Have an enjoyable single player campaign.
Oh, you played that?
No, I was asking if you
Oh,
if it
oh.
was enjoyable.
Okay. I thought you were saying it was. Um, like yes and no. Like, cause the racing is fun and there's a lot of freedom in it. However, it's like also insanely deep. Like, I don't know. Part of it is my fault because I was trying to like challenge myself while also going for the platinum, and it just takes so much time that was never going to happen. And
Okay.
I barely, yeah, I did not make much progress. But it's like also has like it's really cool in some ways. It's like I just chose the wrong way to play it, pretty much.
Yeah, when you go into a big game aiming for the platinum, that can really ruin it for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, as someone that's been hunting platinums all year, yeah,
Yeah.
that can ruin the fun of a game for you.
Yeah, and it did like it didn't ruin the fun of it. It's just that like I barely made through it, which was kind of disappointing. Just because there were so many like awesome car classes I wanted to try, just I never got to. I only like got through like 3 car classes because in between the actual like class races, there were also invitational, which is good because like that was another one of the complaints I had is there was too much sticking to the same class, which tends to bore me. Like if I'm racing too much of the same car.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, I've been playing F1 all the time, really. um, although at least they have the classic cars, which it works in a similar style. Like every couple of races, you'll get to drive a classic car, which is fun, mixes it up. But yeah, that was like my problem with Project Cars is like they let you choose any class, but I wanted to start from the very beginning with karts,
Hmm.
and do every class, and like I would have made a lot more progress if it wasn't for those invitationals. But at the same time, I would have got bored like way quicker if it wasn't for them at the same time. I don't know. It's like that's like you have to be real careful on how you choose to play that career mode. But otherwise, it's good. Like there's a ton of freedom, and I mean generally, just the racing is awesome, and it has a crazy car list. It has some of the best variety as far as like car selection, and they do all feel different too, which is a very important factor. Although I do have to say like road cars, like the non-racing cars, not only is there not a lot of them, but they kind of handle like shit, which is
Hmm.
why I think Gran Turismo is definitely a better simulator because it doesn't just get the racing cars right; it also gets the street cars, and same with the Shadow Corso. Like that's a way I identify like a good racing simulator is if they like are consistent through the cars. Like, well, each will feel different, but also there won't be some cars that just feels like trash, which is it does happen in a lot of racing games. Like just because I have that kind of nature with when I play racing games, especially with real cars. Like that's another hugely important thing to me is them having licensed real world cars because I am a car guy. But like I tend to test drive everything. Like I want to try all different sorts of stuff, and like I tend to gravitate towards the more rare stuff, like some classic cars, and that's like a lot of the times where games can go awry for racing wise, like as far as like how they handle and stuff. But what about you? Like, do you care if a racing game has licensed cars or not?
I guess I would like it more driving real cars. It doesn't like I don't want to say that it's the most important thing in the world to me because it's not. But
Hmm.
I would much rather drive like a car that is real than some like the made up
Yeah.
like the rocket, the Hornet. Like no, no, I don't want a dumbass made up car. Uh, spend the money, get the license, get the real car. That's what people want to drive.
Yeah, or do what tabletop racing did and create
Yes.
legitimate replicas of it. And Gran Turismo,
Yeah.
I mean Grand Theft Auto 5 does this to a certain extent as well, where they have cars that look a lot like real life cars. They're just not.
Yeah.
Um, that I think is something that's acceptable. But what I don't like is what Burnout did, where they had these just weird looking cars that would never actually get designed. Like no one would actually like make something like that. And there's another game that did that. Oh, like Split Second, which was like a pretty cool arcade racing game, I think. Um, Ridge Racer is another one where they just had these totally generic looking cars. They put no effort
Yeah.
into creating an interesting looking car,
Like they'll
and
make a car
to
that looks
me
like
that
kind of.
was a
They'll
bit
make a car that.
irritating.
Hmm. I was thinking, so they'll make a car that looks kind of like a Porsche and kind of like a Lamborghini. They do things like that.
Yeah, like Tabletop did that really well. Like you could
Yeah, but they did
tell.
it. Yeah, they did it really well. But the other cars will make one that looks vaguely like something that looks familiar.
Yeah, like most of the cars on Tabletop, like you can point to exactly what car they were trying to emulate. Like, and that's one thing I really liked about that. Like, because licensing can be expensive, and the same thing with tracks. Like, that's another thing that like some actually Project Cars even did it. Is like although they had like plenty of money, for some reason they didn't license Suzuka, which is like one of the best like Japanese tracks in the world. Like, one of the best tracks in the world, but it's a Japanese track, and but they like kind of had to change it a little bit just to so they wouldn't get sued for the licensing. And it's like that's kind of a little silly. Like if they rename it and it's the same basic track, like that's cool. It's just like when they have to change it a little bit just to avoid licensing, that can be a little annoying if you're a fan of like the original and stuff. But I suppose it's better than nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, because for me as a general civilian, yeah, I like having lots of different tracks to play on, which is something I really
Hmm.
enjoyed about Drive Club. And just
Yeah,
yeah,
that
like a lot of
tons.
we don't need a massive selection of cars because we don't know exactly how the cars will drive. We like the cars to feel different. Yeah, like I can absolutely tell that because if you're paying attention, you should. Yeah, you should know when the car
Yeah.
feels heavier, feels lighter, or whatever. And yeah, I like having a bigger track selection. That is probably more important to me than car selection
Yeah,
because I can only get so much out of like touching a car. Like I'm not gonna
it
some savant that with the wheel that knows exactly what's happening. I don't. So I but I can tell you when I'm turning more or turning less and sharper or something on the track. I do know that.
it is with a lot of people actually like more important to have like more tracks than cars. To me, it's not even the number of cars; it's the variety that is
Mhm.
super important. Like it is awesome to have like all these different cool cars that I know as well, but to me, it's more important to have variety. Like there are some Forza games that have like Horizon's actually a good example. It has like um, 400 cars maybe, but it like there's so many classes of cars that aren't represented, and even Gran Turismo Sport. My biggest complaint about it is it doesn't have open wheel cars, and open wheel cars are some of my favorite to drive. So it's like That's one thing I think that Project Cars has pretty much nailed is they got the variety there. It's like I feel like you could outdo some of the Forza games or even Gran Turismo games with to have like 500 or 900 cars with just 80 cars, as long as you choose good cars and the right variety. Um, and I think that's something that gets overlooked. But generally, people like having tracks. Like Drive Club is a perfect example. Like there's so many. And also the other thing is they're none of them are real world, so that just makes it even more fun. Like I think.
Yeah, because there's no real world limit. They said I want to make this kind of fun track that looks like this.
Yep.
And fun was a big priority when they made that game. Shame they went out of business, but yeah.
Yeah, well, Sony is real dumb like that. Like they also closed down Studio Liverpool, who was known for years for making basically the best F1 games ever. Like they consistently put out amazing racing games, and Wipeout included. They were behind Wipeout, and yeah, Sony closed them down too. Like I don't get it. Like I think Sony doesn't understand the importance of racing games. It's just kind of why the Forza series has been so successful. Like it's because like there's a huge void left. Like because Gran Turismo can't come out every other year. Like it takes them too long to make a game. So like that was the perfect opportunity for Sony to have Drive Club kind of take over in between Gran Turismo. Instead, they squandered it because of the bad launch. Like I think the decision to shut them down was made when that bad launch happened, and the year-long delay as well. And I think it was a mistake, straight up, because like you can attest, Drive Club was an amazing game. It's generally regarded as an amazing game by like everyone that played it at least, and it sold a ton. Like I think that's something that people forget is like it sold over 2 million. And that was like shortly after it launched, and that's not even include digital sales, which were I'm sure they were high because of the PlayStation Plus edition. Plus, I mean, all the sales it had. There's so many times it was like $5 or something. So
yeah, because I think I bought the whole package for this is like 2016. I think I got it for like $20, and it's so much. I don't know how many hours of racing I've already done, but I know I still have another. Let me see. I still have. How many races? I'm looking at my spreadsheet. I still have 124 races to go.
Damn. Yeah, I actually have a good amount too, although I did like complete a lot of them. It's just like some of the more recent DLCs that I didn't complete. But I did like get all the stars on the main tour thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another one. Like I can go back to that any time and have fun. Like, I did recently and had a blast. I mean, it's just really solid racing game.
Yeah, because it's good fun to sit down and just like knock out one of the little sets. Because each of the expansion, there's I think like 15 races or events or whatever, and it'll take you like 2 to 3 hours to do, probably about 2 hours. Yeah, closer to 2 than 3 hours.
The format it would have is there would be 2 or 3 drift events, usually two time trial events, then 2 single races. And then there would be 2 race championships, and then there would be, at the end of it, would be 1 3-race championship. Like, they pretty much held that format for each, like, little campaign of at least the DLCs. Like, each DLC had this own, like, 11-event course it would have, like, kind of for each for the DLC content. And that was kind of the format it followed. Because I remember I would always not do the drift events because I was much better drifting with a controller than a wheel, but I was much better racing with the wheel. So I would like kind of save all the drift events for one go, basically. Because it was a little tricky with the wheel. I mean, drifting is tricky in general, even with the controller, but I just found it a little easier with the controller, I guess. But yeah, it's a shame that series is gone already. But what was I gonna say? I don't remember.
You've played the Gran Turismo Sport. Did you get in their beta or
yes,
alpha or whatever they had?
I played a lot of it, and it was awesome. Like there were yeah, I'm trying to remember. There were some issues, like I mentioned with the car selection. That was one of my bigger issues with it. Um, Not having what's it called, open wheel cars. I'm not happy about that. I hope it changes, but otherwise the graphics are absolutely incredible, as expected with Gran Turismo. But this one, like, it's like you really have to see it to understand, because what's the most amazing thing about it is its lighting. Like, it's up there with Uncharted 4 as far as lighting tech, and in the order 1886, and I mean those are basically known as like the two of the best looking games there is. And GT's right there with them. But like the sound is much improved. Like, it's not the best sound in a racing game ever. Like, so of course naturally people are gonna talk shit. Oh, it still doesn't sound as good as Forza or something like that. Like, that's something that Forza does really well. But hugely improved. But I guess the most impressive thing was just the online racing. That was the other thing I was worried about, is the AI opponents. They were only in the beta for a short time, and they were set on a low difficulty, but they weren't fast enough, again, which is a problem, because like especially since there's no car customization in this one, as far as like upgradable parts at least, I think is a good thing, because like to me the Gran Turismo with the best racing in the series was Gran Turismo PSP, which and Gran Turismo 5 Prologue, which coincidentally both didn't have upgradable parts. And I feel like it's much easier for them to control the racing and how competitive it is when people aren't slapping on turbos or different combinations of tires and lightweight kits and stuff. Like, that just kind of complicates stuff. And like, unless they have the AI like completely copy that exact car, there's going to be differences in performance every single time. So like, not having those upgradable parts and stuff, to me, like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, yes, this should mean good racing. But in the beta it wasn't very good. Like, I think it was just because they had it on a low difficulty level. But hopefully that'll get better. But the online racing was awesome. It was skill based in a good way, and also just like, it was very fair as far as like people crashing you, which is, it happens in every racing game, but like, they actually get penalized typically, and it's usually like a fair penalty, like not like some of the past Gran Turismos where they sometimes would get away with certain things. And I mean, it's like that in Forza too, but like in a lot of racing games. But like this one, the penalties, you can tell they put a ton of effort into the actual competition side of it. So like, this is very much going to be one where hopefully everyone will play online, or a lot of people will, because like it's basically set up for every skill level with the skill-based matchmaking, which really worked. Like, that was one thing I was really surprised with. Although like every game with skill-based matchmaking, I tend to get stuck with people that are a little bit better than me rather than people a little bit worse. It just always happens to me, because like, I get on a roll winning. It happens in Rocket League. It happens in some of the Call of Duties. Like, it's just like my curse. Like, it's not like I'm a good player, but not a good enough player to compete with the people that are actual good players and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I get kind of stuck in the middle, but I could tell that like, if you do bad, it's gonna put you with people that also are not the highest skill level, and that's like, I think it ensures that people are gonna have fun. And yeah, like of course also the track accuracy is always really good with Gran Turismo, but to me it seems like it's gonna be an awesome game that's gonna be more focused on the racing. Now hopefully that's not just online racing. Hopefully it's also single player. But like I said before, I think that's one problem with the racing genre, is developers have become a little bit too much about gimmicks rather than the actual racing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. As a racing expert, also.
Yeah, no, I've played a lot of racing games throughout the years, and it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, it's I mean, there's a lot of genres that are inconsistent, like shooters for sure, but for a genre with so many games, I think actually it's pretty much true for any genre with a ton of different games. Although there's a lot of genres I haven't played, like fighting or RPGs and stuff, but at least the genres I play, it seems like that's a consistent thing between shooters and racing games, that they're inconsistent. Like sometimes they'll do some things well and then do other things terribly. And racing is definitely one of them. But I still will always be a racing fan at heart.
But yeah, racing, it's one of the core things of video games. It's
Yeah,
sure to one of the first games I'll get
for
for
sure.
whenever I would get a new system. Got to get a racing game. It's yeah, it's an important video game genre, and like you said, it's kind of no, it's not going away, but it's kind of going away. It's not as big as it used to be.
Yeah, I don't think
Absolutely
it's
not.
going anywhere, but yeah, no, it certainly is not as popular as it used to be, for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, you wanna wrap it up?
Um, sure. There's a few big games coming out next week. There's a few like big sports games. There's the hockey game. There's a
Oh,
basketball
cool.
game. There's a soccer game. They're all coming out next week.
That's kind of crazy.
There's the new. There's the Dishonored like standalone expansion thing.
Oh yeah.
I just put Dishonored 3. Even though that's not what it's called. It's basically that though. Uh, there's the new. There's a big RPG. It's like Wise 8, East 8. I don't know. Brian told me how to say it last week, and I forgot. And that comes out next week. I played the demo of that game, and it kind of sucked, but uh, he thought it was all right. I have an important question. There's only like a couple weeks left. I'm wondering if I should resubscribe to PS Now. My wife is starting to play Sonic Adventure 2 because she likes to raise the little chows in there,
Mhm.
and I'm just wondering if I should drop the 100 just to get it for another year, just to have another 500 games in my library that I might play for some reason.
Yeah. At some point, I might get PS Now because it's like it's PS3 games that I can stream, but yeah, like I can't say I'd prefer to play on PS Now.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to get it just because I have so many games that I regular own. I don't think I need. I don't need to. I can delete that column from the spreadsheet. I don't need it anymore. Another 500 games to potentially play.
Yeah, like if I got one of those HD capture devices, I would probably never use PlayStation Now again, especially because they dropped Vita support, which was like one of the main ways I would want to do PlayStation Now.
Yeah.
And the way I played it in the first place, back when they used to actually let you rent a single game at a time rather than only letting you do the subscription, which was real irritating.
Oh yeah, I remember they used to do just like the single game rents. I never
Yeah,
used it, but
that's
yeah.
how I played Uncharted 2 back in the day when I first got a Vita. I thought it was the coolest thing, and then PS4 remote play. Once I figured out how to get that, well, actually, you know what it was? It wasn't even figuring out how to get it working. Is back when the PS4 first came out, my internet sucked, and it wasn't good enough to support remote play at all with
It
PS4.
sucks.
Um, cause like I always do remote play and PS Now when I'm not at home. Because if I'm at home, I'm just gonna use my console. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, yeah.
so like yeah, that's what I mean when I say remote play. I mean over the internet, and my home internet wasn't nearly good enough to support it. So yeah, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Um, but then I got better internet, and yeah, life is much better now.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. This weekend I'll probably play. I know I'm gonna play more Battleborn. Go to Five Below, get Battleborn. It's not as bad as people said it was. It's
Oh, I believe it. It's just that isn't it a lot like Borderlands or
um um it is similar to Borderlands in that it is a first person shooter. You play it. It's not like an open world thing like Borderlands. You go into
oh
there's like eight single player missions, and then there's like five more expansion missions. Each mission takes about half an hour to do. It drops you in with other players, and you go
huh.
through, and you'll be killing mini bosses and waves of enemies and
Yeah,
stuff
because
like
I
that.
did play. I think there was a beta for it, and
There was a beta for
like
it.
I noticed that I don't know, like especially like when the bosses came around, I was having probably more fun than I did in Borderlands. Also, because I don't know if this is correct, but the weapons weren't as shitty as they are in Borderlands, and by shitty I
Well,
mean tons and tons of recoil
yeah, they're
in
not. No, it's
inaccuracy.
not like Borderlands weapons at all. Not at all. And the enemies aren't like super bullet sponges either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so worth the $5. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
fun to drop in and play. There's like 30 different heroes you can be.
So what did you say it was? Five and
If you go
below?
to Five Below, yeah,
Five below?
yep, and they should have a giant rack with like 50 of them on there.
Oh, is that a store?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
Like
Okay.
they're in a lot of like malls and stuff like that.
Oh. Never heard of
Yeah,
that. I don't know if they have them in my area. Although I'm sure like it'll go on sale on like PS4 at some point for cheap. But yeah, no, I
yeah,
might actually try it. Yeah.
yeah. It does not have any of those problems that you had with Borderlands, and a lot of the problems that it had when it launched, they're all gone now.
Huh.
A lot of the heroes used to be locked behind like whatever your like overall level was, depending on how much you played. Uh, and it took a long time to unlock new heroes, and but they got rid of that because they realized it was fucking stupid. And now you have now you have all the heroes available at launch. They fixed the frame rate. The frame rate's it's 100% smooth now and just better than it ever was before. Um,
Cool.
yeah. They if they had launched it in the condition they did after they made the winter update, um, it it would have been received a lot better.
I think the other thing that kind of turned me off to that game was the the first trailer. Like
Oh yeah, because if you didn't
it
like,
was
if
cinematic
you
and it
were
also had that
annoyed by
annoying music.
yeah, and if you were annoyed by like any of like the Borderlands like quirkiness, like
Yeah.
they love to like play
I
that shit up,
was.
then
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna be put off by it. But it's not even as like over the top as
I mean, I can deal with it, but
Borderlands
like
is.
I'm just saying,
It's
like that.
definitely
I hated that trailer though. Like,
yeah. I
it
don't
wasn't the
remember the
worst
trailer, but
trailer I've seen,
yeah,
but I was like, man, what is this? And it's like, plus like Gearbox, I don't know, like they're kind of hit or miss for me. Like Borderlands is
yeah.
fun, like on the Vita, but it's not something like I'm like dying to play on my PS4 or anything like that. But
See, I boot up the Handsome Collection every once in a while. I got a friend that I
yeah,
play with because it runs so much smoother on the PS4 than it
yeah,
ever
I
did on
know.
PS3.
I have it on I have Borderlands 2 on PC as well, and I mean, plus it looks a lot better too. But
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
well, I'm used to playing it on Vita, so that's an even bigger difference. Like a lot of like the basic effects that are in the PC and even the PS3 version are like just missing. And it's not that it's ugly on Vita at all. It's actually really good looking on Vita. It's just that there are some like key things that are missing graphics wise that like yeah, like you notice it right away even when paying the PS3 version, let alone PC and stuff. So or PS4.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. Like even when I played it with friends, it's just like it felt a little. Plus, like I mentioned, with the weapons, kind of drove me
Yeah.
nuts. Like
Yeah. The weapons are kind of shitty unless you have
yeah,
like the good legendary weapons.
yeah. Like there are some, every once in a while you get a really good gun, but then you're also like most of them are like just terrible, like
Yeah.
inaccurate. And I've just I don't know, like shooters with very inaccurate guns. I've never quite had a ton of fun with, except for
I
Stalker.
understand. Yeah.
Stalker, I get it because it's a survival game. Really, like that is the only time I've had fun with guns that just shot and like had zero accuracy and tons of recoil and stuff. But yeah, no, like I kind of like Call of Duty. I like the Call of Duties with the guns with no recoil. They're just like lasers basically.
Yeah.
Because then I feel like it's more about reaction time than how
Mhm.
often you play. Because if you're used to controlling recoil on that gun, you're gonna do better than me. Because I just hop on every once in a while. I'd
Yeah.
rather it be about who reacts quicker and who just has like just more aggression, I guess, which is something I've always been good at with the
Yeah.
competitive shooters. So,
Yeah. I bought 4 games last week.
oh jeez,
All big games too. Because last weekend Redbox had a big sale, and for a total of $20, I bought Dark Souls 3,
Oh.
um, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, and Deus Ex,
Oh, nice.
and yeah, Dark Souls was 10. The other two were 5, so I got them all for $20, and then I also bought Bloodborne for $8 through the store. So yeah,
Nice.
because I didn't have enough games on my backlog already. My
Yeah, no, I
backlog
have the
had.
same problem. I say I have a hard time saying no to a good deal.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Also, like
those.
I'll try anything.
Mhm. Me too. Yeah, the Homefront, the Revolution was like a month ago. It was $2, the Redbox. I bought that. I'm sure I'll play it one day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I buy games on G2A every once in a while because they're usually cheap, under $10, and it's like Homefront is one of them. But also, like today, I bought Black Ops, the original one, because I felt like playing zombies on Kino,
Mhm.
which is like the only zombies I've ever liked in the Call of Duty series. Like I've never been a fan of zombies except for that map because I actually know it and um, have fun with it. I even know how to activate the secret song. But like, uh, also because I do want to stream that at some point, and that's another thing. Like that's been getting me to buy certain games is like just certain series I want to complete as far as streaming. And like,
Mhm.
so it's like I end up doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also because PC, I can run way better graphics than I would be able to do on PS3 or Xbox 360 and stuff, and sometimes even better graphics than PS4. Like Homefront: The Revolution is an example. I not only have better graphics but better frame rate, although it's not bad on PS4 at all. Like I heard
I
a
heard
lot
it
of people
like
talk
it
so much
launched.
shit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean. Like a lot of people said bad
Yeah.
stuff about it when it launched, but I played it more recently and I thought it was fine. Like the one thing that bothered me though is there was a little hint of input lag, which is
Mhm.
why ultimately I
Yeah.
bought it on PC. But also because it was $6 when
Yeah.
on PS4 at the time I would have had to spend like 10, 15, I think, or yeah,
Mhm.
15 I
Yeah.
think. So it's like, yeah, I'll play at double the frame rate and save $9 basically. So, but yeah, I think we covered that and then some.
I think so.
Awesome. But yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We will talk to you next time.
Adios.
Yeah, I have a bit of a problem. My
All
TV stopped displaying what's going on my computer a while ago, like early in. It's still
Uh-huh.
the PC's still running. Um, it might even be still recording now, and I think it's still streaming. I hope it is. But yeah, I might have to just hit the power button and say fucking stop because it's literally not displaying on my TV, and I've been trying to fix it. It's just not working.
Interesting.
This happens sometimes. I don't know why. It happened with my last graphics card as well. Um, but sometimes it'll just not display anything through the HDMI, and I'll have to hit the power button to get it to stop to work.
That's,
Um,
that's why I don't mess with all that PC stuff.
yeah,
It's above me.
yeah, yeah. No, it's irritating. But hopefully, like it recorded on Twitch. I mean, actually, I can check. I just have to over to my laptop. I won't be able to hear you for a second, and you won't be able to
Yeah.
hear me, but I'll be back just to see. I just want to double check to make sure that everything got recorded.
Yeah.
Then I can just hit the power button to stop the recording and the stream because I don't know how to for the keyboard shortcuts. So I'll be back.
Yep. You Sam, you can feed the cats if you like. Oh, yeah, sure. Hey, Sam. Samantha. Samantha.
Fuck. Hold on. Yeah, I don't think it ever streamed. Wait, did I screw up and stream it on YouTube by accident? Did I fucking stream it on YouTube? Damn it! Did I fucking stream it on YouTube? Damn it!
It was good. Actually, I think I sit on my headphones.
Yo.
Yep.
So yeah, it did stream, but I fucking accidentally did it to YouTube, not Twitch.
Huh.
Which, I don't know. I guess it's better than nothing. But yeah, I'm gonna have to hit the power button to,
Yeah.
stop everything.
Yeah, that's fine. I was probably gonna hop off in a minute, spend some time with the wives.
Alright, well, have fun. I'll hopefully talk to you next week.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yep.
Right, man.
Alright.